Welcome to What If? Generating and Testing Hypotheses. I'm Brad Lanier, Orion Academy Principal Intern. Do you ever feel like this guy when you're teaching? I remember when I used to feel stressed out. You could be. What if you could be less stressed? One way to accomplish this is with inquiry learning. In other words, generating and testing hypotheses. Some other what if questions, just as an example to think about what this could do. You could teach your son, what if you could teach your son, daughter, niece, nephew, would you change anything in your classroom? Powerful what if question. Going down the list here, what if we started jailing people for freedom of expression, like President Trump proposes with people that are protesting the flag? What if we could prepare students to qualify for the UC District Science Fair? Oh, that's right, we have. And inquiry generates some very powerful questions. So, what are our goals? As we go through this generating and testing hypothesis, and as I'll be saying, inquiry for short, professional development goals for this session. Number one, to learn pedagogical strategies for classroom inquiry. 2, develop specific inquiry strategies for your classroom. 3, make your life less stressful by shifting some ownership of the learning to your students. And that's a big one. That's really where you can avoid that Jack Nicholson look. Implement an inquiry strategy and report out on it at our monthly PD on January 12th. So you're going to have, I know we have Christmas break and all, but between all that, it's about 4.5 weeks after we get through this to come up with something at the end of this PowerPoint. You'll have a chance to work collaboratively to plan with the departments some different challenger projects that you can implement some of this for. We give you lots of examples in this PowerPoint. So I chose to use the naturalistic model, and we are going to have some teacher testimonials. If you click on Ms. Taylor and Mrs. Bhattacharya, you could see the science fair going on, and if you click on Mr. Samina Wazalewski and Mr. Amstutz down there, you can see their presentation. The naturalistic model really does a great job of respecting teachers, and it's teacher-led change. So, who better to explain the power of what inquiry learning can do than teachers? So I'm going to step away for a moment and let these teachers speak on what inquiry learning, including Dr. McCrory are there too, what inquiry learning has done for them. Wah, 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 wah. Wah, 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 wah. Wah, 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 wah. Thank you, Ms. Taylor, Mrs. Bhattacharya, Dr. McCrory, Mr. Samina Wazalewski, and Mr. Amstutz for your testimonials. Much appreciated. So what are 4 inquiry processes? What are some ways we could specifically do these, implement them in our classrooms? Well, we have systems analysis being the first one. Looking at the purpose parts, the function, describing how the parts affect each other, picking apart, postulating hypothesizing possible results that could happen, then testing it when practical. One of the examples of this, a great example of this, is the Orion Dossier Science Fair project, particularly with this, as we all know, Donald All. His rocket experiment, going with different types of air rockets to see which one would go the highest. So he had some different ideas. He manipulated them, looked at the body of it. That's the part he chose to change the shape of and test them out. Got some interesting results, which if you want to stop by and check out his trifold board, you may. Also, there's a nice handout to check out on the science fair that we just did this past week. Number 2, problem solving learning. A great example of that is the ecology science fair project, service learning project, also known as. My students identified a goal of wanting to do some environmental education within the community. We live in an area around a lot of parks here in Hamilton County, and they felt so many urban kids really did not have a great understanding of what's going around and what's going on with that and the opportunities that parks could give them. So one possible solution they identified was going to classrooms. We looked at the biggest obstacle holding us back, and that was finding a bus. We found a way to work with the administration and were able to secure transportation. We applied the solution, and we got some really positive results with the kids. Felt they learned a lot, especially when we got the thank you cards back from it, talking about some of the things they learned. Number 3, and like as you can see, there's links to all of these. Number 3, what are 4 inquiry processes? You have experimental inquiry being a great one. The CDC Cell Project is a good example. The students saw that there are areas of the school they're a little concerned with what they thought was dirt, but was it bad dirt, so to speak. So we looked at some different theories of bacterial growth and tested for it, tried to hypothesize based on what bacteria needs to grow, where the worst areas would be in the school, and came up with an experiment. They actually had to design it and carry it out, and they did it with some surprising results. Everything from toilet seats being the cleanest to the number pad in the cafeteria being the dirtiest because it was cleaned all the time. You got bacteria that was resistant to cleaner. MRSA, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, actually can eat bleach and live off of it. That's the flesh-eating bacteria. So, if you want to see more about that, there's a great link to the video on that project and the project entry document right below there. Check that out. Number 4, investigation. So we took a project, genetic issues project, where students we were talking about families one day and family diseases, and so we use that to explain how diseases work and how 90% of diseases are related to basic malfunctions and homeostasis, and we broke that down and examined those 3 different processes and applied those to each disease. Students applied hypothetical solutions in this genetic issues project and researched if this was at all possible based upon cell theory, based upon protein synthesis theory, cell membrane diffusion, energy conversion being the one of the other areas there, and we really got a lot of great theoretical solutions to diseases such as Alzheimer's and cancer. I'd like to claim this project myself, but this was actually the idea of several other teachers. In fact, one student, I believe in Kansas, won $100,000 for their idea for trying to cure a disease from a pharmaceutical company. So interesting stuff. Check it out, Genetic Issues Project. But one of the biggest things, though, is what inquiry learning does. It puts the ownership of learning more with the students, which takes the stress off you, puts a little healthy stress on them, and gives more balance between the teacher and student learning. It should be a joint effort. It should not be you as the teacher doing everything. We need to get away from spoon feeding, and one of the ways they can grow mentally and as future adults is with the inquiry process. So what are some tips to build that confidence? Well, model. If they're struggling, you could model the 4 processes. Go over some examples with familiar content, incorporating familiar content to go through the steps. I say workshop there. That means you can do a small group workshop with the kids on a specific skill, on a specific step. Support students with quality and applicable graphic organizers. Graphic organizers, as Marzano talks about, are always great to help us out, Bean, etc. Also, and then another great way, something I did in chemistry and biology, I set up a Twitter feed. A student could ask a question anytime and get answers pretty quickly. Bring in community experts and mentors, like I did for so many projects. The stronger we are with the community, the better our school is going to be, the more relevance our students are going to see in what they are learning, the more authentic it's going to seem to them. And most high-level jobs, you've got to be able to think. And this inquiry learning does a great job at this. Any questions? Oh, back in the back. Ms. Lowe's, any questions? No? Okay, no. All right. Okay. And we could see there some references. Marzano comes from Dean, Hubble, Pittler, Stone, and then the naturalistic model from Richardson and Pleasure. Thank you for your time. You guys know my email. You know where to find me, my office. Please come to me with any questions you have. I'd love to talk more with you about this. Now, time for departments to come up with some of your own challenge or project type inquiry lessons to apply. Good luck.